What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. What you're looking at here at the Ghost 16 infrared is Hurricane Larry. Hurricane Larry has been out here in the Atlantic Ocean now for several days and still has a very dominating presence, as you can see on the infrared satellite presentation. It's moving north towards Newfoundland, a possible landfall in Newfoundland in less than 36 hours. It has stunning similarities to that of Hurricane Igor back in 2010 that made landfall as a Category 1 and did extensive damage throughout Newfoundland. And you can see the path of Igor over here on the left, and you can see the path of Larry over here on the right, expected to make landfall, just like Igor, as a transitioning Category 1 hurricane. However, there are some differences, and the 500,000 residents of Newfoundland could have their hands full with this storm, and we're going to talk about a very unique situation that's building up as this storm is making its way towards a Newfoundland landfall. You're looking at the eye wall of Hurricane Igor from back in 2010. Got that stadium effect, how you can look down in the eye wall, and you can see multiple layers inside the eye of that storm. It's called the stadium effect. That was also a very powerful storm, a Category 4 for an extended period of time, just like Larry. Coming over here to zoom.Earth, we're looking at a satellite presentation from today. This is Hurricane Larry out in the central Atlantic, making its way towards Newfoundland. Again, landfall in less than 36 hours, going back 11 years. Still over here at Zoom Earth, you're looking at a satellite presentation of Hurricane Igor right at 11 years ago. This is from September 19th of 2010. Larry is in almost the exact location as Igor was 11 years ago. The only difference is Igor went to the left of Bermuda, Larry's going to stay to the right of Bermuda. One thing they do have in common, according to the National Hurricane Center, they're both going to make a direct landfall right into Newfoundland. Coming over here to cbc.ca, this article was shared with me by my friend Philip, who lives up in Newfoundland, and they are preparing for the landfall of Hurricane Larry. Again, that's going to occur in less than 36 hours. Article goes on to talk about Hurricane Larry making landfall hard and fast. The storm will be moving somewhere between 30 and 40 miles per hour forward motion Friday night into Saturday morning, and it will cross Newfoundland very, very quickly, but it's going to be strong, and it's going to come at the worst possible time. Not that there's ever a good time for a hurricane, but this thing's going to come at night, and it's also going to come during high tide. Coming over here to the high tides chart for Arnold's Cove, which is in southern Newfoundland, and these are the high tides for September 9th and September 10th. September 10th would be the night of the landfall. High tide, looking at 11:10 p.m. for peak high tide on September 10th. Coming back over here to VentureSky.com, this is Larry on VentureSky, and it's supposed to make landfall sometime around 8-9 p.m. on Friday night as high tide is rolling into southern Newfoundland. And it's going to be dark. So you got two things that are creating a worst possible case scenario for a landfall of any hurricane, coming in at high tide and coming in at nightfall when it's dark. And there's a pretty good chance that the electricity could go out. There could be widespread power outages throughout Newfoundland as this thing makes landfall, and that will make things even more challenging with regard to Hurricane Larry. The only advantage this thing has to offer, it's going to be moving very quickly. You can see some of the wave heights coming into southern Newfoundland. St. Mary's Bay, 33 feet, 32 feet consistently. Placentia Bay, 29, 30 feet. Covering a wide area going deep into the bay, once again during high tide, which is going to exacerbate the possible storm surge that's headed towards Newfoundland on Friday night into early Saturday morning. There could be extensive flooding throughout southern Newfoundland as this storm makes landfall. Again, the only advantage this thing has is it's going to be moving very quickly at somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, quite possibly even 40 miles per hour. So crossing Newfoundland very, very quickly, but again, making landfall at the worst possible time right around high tide and after dark. So those two combinations alone are going to make this very challenging. So everybody in this area should be well prepared for the landfall of a at least Category 1 hurricane. I'm seeing signs of this thing strengthening right now. I know it sounds kind of odd because the farther north these storms go, in general, they weaken because the waters are cooler. But looking at the intensity of this storm, you're looking at 951, 937, and 957 central low pressures. Those are a collection of 3 models. Take the average of those 3 models, and you're looking at probably somewhere around 944. That's a pretty strong Category 1 if I've ever seen one. Right now, that's showing a Category 1. But the central low pressure is showing something considerably stronger than a Category 1. Maybe that's going to increase as it moves forward because it's going to be running into some wind shear. That's the red lines you see on that map right there. But right now, a strong Category 1 hurricane headed towards Newfoundland right now as I do this video. Quick update on the power outage situation in Louisiana following the landfall of Hurricane Ida. Right now, the number stands at 243,000 customers without electricity. That's down from 1.1 million customers that were without electricity following the landfall of Ida. That is a tremendous job by the linemen and women that are working on that power outage situation in southern Louisiana. Coming back over here to windy.com, more than likely there's going to be power outages up here in Newfoundland. Again, they went through this before with Hurricane Igor back in 2010. It made landfall as a Category 1 storm, creating a lot of havoc up in the Newfoundland area with flooding and high winds and storm surge. Some of the models were showing waves offshore in the neighborhood of 80 and 90 feet. They couldn't get those verified. They didn't know if maybe there was a malfunction with the buoys. We've already got a buoy right now in event mode just off of the left of the path of this storm. I don't know if this has anything to do with Hurricane Larry, but there is a buoy in event mode right now in the northern Atlantic Ocean, and Larry's expected to pass just to the right of that buoy. We've got a buoy right here in the path of Hurricane Larry, so we will be able to monitor some of the wave heights, and they're supposed to be up in the 30-foot range as this storm is coming in once again at the worst possible time during high tide after dark, making a landfall in Newfoundland. So big heads up, guys, if you're in Newfoundland, this looks like it could be a repeat of Hurricane Igor from back in 2010.